All right, you all. So welcome back to another episode of Menopause March Madness with your girl, Carlika Katrina Basnight-Menendez. Yes, all of that. And of course, we have another amazing guest with us. And let me go ahead and put this out there. We're not medical professionals or anything. So always seek your medical professional team, your OBG, your GYNs, your primary care, your therapist, psychotherapist, whatever it is that you're needed, seek, get the help, and do the work. And so you might be thinking, Menopause March Madness. Don't worry. We're not angry. We're not coming up here to yell. We are great. We are healthy. And we're just here to share our experience with our own menopausal journeys. And I pray that something that I may say or our amazing guest, Dr. Sheila Sapp, is with us today, CEO of Sheila E. Cares, educational consulting firm. And so look, if you're looking for a tutor and you're trying to figure out ways to make learning fun for your children and bridge that gap between the teachers and educators, administrators, your children, and the whole, and I mean, it's a community thing, right? And that's what we need to get back to, that it really is a community effort, and she is your go-to person for that. And so, Dr. Sapp, welcome.
Hey, I am so happy and I feel blessed to be here with the one and only Mrs. Carlika Basnight-Menendez and all of that. And how are you?
I am doing great. We've been having some amazing conversations all around one word. And who would think that one word would take you to international lands and talking to women from all different backgrounds that are in the UK, Israel, they're Jewish, they're African-American women, they're Native Americans. And then we have our Menopause and Mimosa event this Saturday here in Pennsylvania.
Woo!
So, and we're sold out.
Wow, fantastic.
No seats. So if I can say anything to anyone, we're not letting menopause make us pause in life. We're not taking a pause on purpose. We're going forth. And this is the thing. You don't even have to know anyone in the area. Y'all think I got friends in all of these areas, right? Outside of some people that I may have met on social media who I've never met in person, but that's like one or maybe two people. So I'm excited about that on this coming Saturday. But Dr. Sapp, share who you are and what it is that you do, a little bit about your company as well.
Well, I am a former principal and teacher, and I'm retired. It'll be 7 years this June. I mean, I can't believe how the time has gone by. And I started my own educational consulting business. I've always dealt with parents, teachers, school leaders, and students. And I just have always been passionate about encouraging people, grandparents, I mean, just anyone, even people who would like help in coming up with goals so that they become a better version of themselves. And I have written some handbooks for parents and homeschoolers and caregivers and grandparents with different activities and ways that they can help their children at home. So all I can say is I have a passion for children.
Absolutely.
I love encouraging people. And I see my purpose in life is helping people not only grow, but even if I work with one child at a time, I feel that I can help someone accomplish whatever their goals are in life.
Oh,
so
I love
that's
that.
me.
I personally can attest to everything that she is saying. My son went to the school that she was a principal at. Now, he never have to go to the office, though, y'all, okay? He never have to go to the office. But her first book, Stand the Course, I still have the picture where Jeremiah and I was at your book signing. We still have that picture, and amazing. So you have to visit her website, and she'll give that information at the end so that you can purchase these materials, these resources. If you're an educator, you're a leader, you're a parent, right? And nowadays, because the school system and different things have changed so much, You all, you need someone who's going to advocate. You need someone who's been in the educational system and now consulting, so you'll know what to ask, what to look for, and how we can come together to make sure that your child is exceeding the goals, right? We don't just want to meet them or barely meet them. We want them to exceed them. And so when you get with Dr. Sapp, she's going to definitely give you the tools and the strategies to do just that. So as a parent, you're not frustrated either, because I don't know about y'all, but the way some of the things are being taught now, I think it's confusing, and it's probably confusing the kids too, but she can help you break down those things so that you all can come together to make learning fun too, right? And so you all, we would have to get on another episode where we're just, chit-chatting, okay? And we can talk about this all day. But today we are definitely talking about her menopausal journey and what that looked like for her and what maybe she had to deal with, and understanding that menopause is not a one size fits all. Every woman won't have the same emotional or psychological or any symptoms, right? Some people don't have any symptoms. God bless you all who don't have any hot flashes and no night sweats and possibly no weight gain and all of the things. Amazing. And so Dr. Sapp, share a little bit of your own personal experience of entering menopause.
Well, I must say, Carlika, that my experience was a little different. I am a baby boomer. And I grew up at a time where children were seen but not heard. So parents really didn't talk a lot about different issues. And sometimes what you learned out on the street. And I do want to say that I do remember my mother all of a sudden, be sitting and she's fanning herself and breaking out in the sweat. And I was, just wondering what was going on. And as a teenager, I remember shopping with her one day and going into a store and seeing this older woman, to me, who was older and had a lot of gray hair. Remember, I was a teenager at the time, and she was pregnant. And I said to my mother, "Isn't she old to be pregnant?" And she simply said, "Well, she probably got caught on the change." And I thought, the change? What in the world is the change? So later on, as a first-time principal, I had moved to Georgia and started off in my first principalship. I was faced with my ex-husband with infidelity. And the thing about it, and the reason why this menopause and my experience stands out, is because I found that he was untrue and betrayed me. And then I started noticing at the same time that something was going on with my body. I had spent all this time getting used to my body and being a certain way. And here I was in a leadership position, and I just knew I didn't feel right. And so I thought maybe it had to do with what I was going through emotionally. I had tight feelings. All of a sudden, I would start feeling warm. And then I started thinking and remembering what my mother said, about the change and so forth, and the sweats. And I thought, could I be at this time of all times going through menopause? So here I am, first year principal, supposed to have it all together, leading this school, betrayed by a husband, and now my body was betraying me. I just didn't know what to do. And I really didn't want to open up and talk with anybody, because I felt that if I talked about what was going on with me physically, then someone might start asking me other questions. about my personal life. I was in a small community, and we know what it's like living in a small community. People just know everything. And in my case, I was the last person to know, but I had started losing weight. I walked around with this pain, and here I am with this body that these things were happening. And I just kept everything inside. And it was really hard because I had to wear this mask. So not only was I hiding behind what was going on at home, but physically. And it wasn't something that I felt comfortable asking questions about or sharing with other women, because I knew that what was going on, I knew I couldn't have been the only person. It's just that I could not open up. And so that is why I am so glad that you are doing what you're doing in your journey, and how you are spreading the news and information and informing women that what they're going through does not have to be the end of their life. And so eventually I did end up making an appointment and getting some help medically. But the other thing that I had to do was, because of my marital situation, then I had to seek help that way.
Wow.
And one day I looked in the mirror and I just could not recognize and couldn't believe what I was looking at.
Wow.
Not only had I lost weight, but my skin had darkened. And I just felt like I was reflecting on the outside what was happening inside.
Absolutely.
And I just knew right then and there that I couldn't live like this, that I was going to have to do something to move forward.
Wow.
And I do remember one day coming home from work because, I could wear the mask. I could wear that mask.
Well, this is the thing,
but once I got in my car,
I feel that so many people wear masks, and not just one. Wear masks at church. They wear the mask at work. We have the language. We have the lingo. We think we're really hiding things. And like you said, I love that you had a mirror experience, right? Because I can definitely relate to the mirror experience. And you all might be thinking, like, what does all this have to do with menopause? Because life situations don't stop just because of menopause. Life is still going on around us. Situations are happening, hurting. So many women are hurting, and so many people are hurting even as like today. Right? Whether it's grief of loss of a marriage, grief of, and like you said, you had this mirror experience and recognize, like, who am I and how did I get to this point of losing myself? And so many times we hear women saying, who am I? I need to find me. I got to get my groove back. I have to figure out, what is it that I love? What is it that I want to do? How do I want to move forward? And so I do think we all have to have a mirror experience. And you may not have the big floor mirror and like, I'm not getting ready to stand in the mirror and all of these things, but that mirror experience is really coming to grips with where you are. And where is it that I want to go? And how am I going to get there? Because honestly, just hearing your journey thus far of betrayal, literally in a marriage, then feeling like, okay, my body is betraying me too, because what are you doing? Right? Without having the more conversations, even in your time. And like you said, you're a baby boomer. And even in our generation, my generation, we're still not having the conversations, right? I don't remember my mom ever sitting us down having a conversation about the last period, right? We had the conversation about the first one, but we didn't have a conversation about the last one. And so this is why we're changing and rebrand in the face of menopause to say it's okay to have these conversations, because even with what you were dealing with, what if you did not recognize that you was in a sunken place? What if you did not recognize that, okay, my skin and everything, like it's all changing because I'm stressed, I'm feeling all of the things that you were feeling, right? But yet I'm still showing up to work, not whole, not healed. I'm just performing because I have to, not because I really want to be here. In a small town, right? And like you said, that small town living, like everyone is related to somebody and everyone knows
That's
somebody.
so true.
And, like everyone's someone cousin, and are you related? No. Even when I moved to smaller town, right? And I'm not even going to say the town, y'all. I'm not going to say the town. Even when we moved there and people like, oh, you must be, no, I'm not related to nobody here. I'm not even from here, not born and raised, not nothing. But when I started meeting more people and they're like, oh yeah, that's my cousin and that's her, I'm like, wow, this small town living. And sometimes small towns have small minds, not all the time, but change, right? Because everyone knows everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, like you said, you was the last person to know, even in your own household. So during that time of the betrayal, marital, the feeling the betrayal even of your body, what was your thoughts of you?
Well, one of the things that I didn't mention to you about the betrayal of my body and wearing the mask, I neglected to say that I had a daughter who was at home, a senior in high school. So I still had to show up as a mother and so forth. And at Carlika, I used to wait until late at night and get in the tub and turn the water on. And that's when I did my crying. And then, like I said, I realized I couldn't continue to live like that, because as you said, your body, when you're going through menopause, it doesn't care what's happening, what's going on in your household, or who's talking about you or how you're feeling.
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
it happened. So I knew that for me, one day I just came home, and I always saw myself as a good person. My early upbringing was centered on, Jesus Christ. My mother's father was a preacher, and my grandmother was a missionary worker.
Right.
But my mother had kind of strayed away a little. So she really didn't force or make us go to church, although we went periodically. So I knew about God. I believed in Jesus, but I didn't have that relationship.
Right.
And this feeling and this betrayal, I tried to handle things in my way. The mask didn't work, and other little things I tried didn't work. And one day I just came home. I just couldn't take the pain anymore. And I fell on my knees, and I just asked God that I would do anything if he would take the pain away. And during that praying and being on my knees in my bedroom, I had this warm, and the only way I can explain it was like a warm feeling, like a hug that came over me, and this sense of peace.
Wow.
And I just had this feeling. And somehow I knew that it was going to be better, and that he was going to ease what was going on. And I must say, I got up and I had this sense of peace, but I knew it wasn't going to happen overnight, and it didn't happen overnight. I went back to work the next day, and I literally lived from 1 hour to the next. I lived from the morning until the afternoon, and I went home, and I went like on Friday from Saturday to Sunday. And as time went on, I start reading my Bible. I start seeking God and strengthening my relationship. And before I knew it, those times of being able to make it through the day, I found that I could last for 2 hours without thinking about it. And then it was 3 hours. And then it was a whole day. And then it went from there to a couple of days and a
That's
week.
literally walking out your freedom. And to someone who may
It
be,
was.
right, you might be listening and saying, look, you all don't know what I'm facing. You don't know what I'm going through. And you may say, because we want to let people know, first of all, there's hope and there's help.
Mm-hmm.
And suicide is not the answer.
No, it isn't.
We know that people in situations in the darkest times of our lives, those thoughts of, suicide and feeling unworthy and as if you should not be here, or as if your life should be over because of the pain and the hurt. Seek help, right? And so, yes, I'm a proponent of prayer, and everyone's journey may not be different. I love to pray. I got my Women Who Pray shirt on today, okay? But in the midst of you praying, right, you all go seek help if that is what you need, because your life is definitely worth living. And we see with statistics, the stats show that women committing suicide, the age range is in that menopausal age range. And we're not saying that menopause is the cause of the suicide, but like you said, I was still being a mom. I still had to show up and lead as a leader in the school. I was still, showing up the best way I could in the community. I was still trying. I wasn't really showing up for myself because I didn't know how at the time, right? And I still wasn't showing up as
Mm-hmm.
the best version of those that I was there to serve and to care for, because every day I had to, take off the mask when I got in the car and my true feelings exuded and all of those things. So if you need help, get the help that you need and understand that your life is worth living. And we want to hear your story. How can anyone hear your story of freedom and deliverance if you're not here? And so as we move forward, even during the darkest, some darkest hours and times of your life, what I'm hearing is that, you had to walk out your own freedom mentally, physically, and start building yourself up to become stronger so that you could, it's not that you forget the situation, but I'm not living and staying in that time and space of the situation where you didn't allow it to occupy the rest of
That's
your
so
life.
true.
Because you wouldn't be able to write the books. You still wouldn't be able to encourage people if you would have stayed right there. So that's why we say you can pause, but you can't quit. So you may have had to take a pause to address and assess and let me see what it
Right.
is I need and what is it that I don't need, and let me find out who I am so that I can keep pressing forward and not hitting the pause button and never hitting play again. So congratulations for unmuting. Congratulations for not quitting forever, even though you may have had to take that pause. And that's fine to take a pause, right? Mentally and
Yes,
different things.
it is.
The pause, it's going to be so worth it. And so as you navigate it through all of these betrayals, right? And that's what we're going to call it, all of the betrayals that were going on
Right.
at one time. You prayed, and then did you have, I remember you saying earlier in the conversation of a tightness, right? And a lot of times we don't even recognize how stressed we are, whether that's in the workplace, whether that's at home, whether that's going to toxic environments. And we're not saying menopause is toxic, but the reality of it is some women feel like they are losing it. Right? They don't know which way they're going. They are having a hard time concentrating, having a hard time to focus, having a hard time just to maneuver and navigate through this phase. So what are some tips or strategies or techniques that give us 3 that you would share as someone is navigating through a transition, because menopause is a transition. The being married, dealing with infidelity, to divorce, a transition. Your daughter graduating high school, all of these things, a transition. You had a transition from being in the school to now 7 years retired, right? So many, being remarried and all of the things, all of these transitions. Give us 3 tips that you would encourage someone, or just to tell someone, what are some things that you did to navigate through the transitions?
Right. I've already shared with you about establishing a stronger relationship. Well, I would say tip number 1, that would be number 1. And 1A would be that you have to make a conscious decision about whether you want to be bitter or better. And I decided that I was going to use this to be a better person. And so the other thing that I had to do was I had to be realistic and look for the root cause. Why did I feel this way? What was going on? And how could I have contributed in some way to my situation? And I realized that I did not like Sheila. God had given me specific gifts and abilities, and I was not accepting of who I was. I had put another individual on a pedestal. So take the time to face the truth about yourself. Find the root cause. What is it that is making me feel this way, that I have this low self-esteem and I don't feel worthy? So once I did that, then I was able to go about and set goals. And I selected goals that were going to help build me up, to have me have a stronger sense of pride and to appreciate myself. And also, the third thing is, sometimes we're so busy in the ditches, or we're involved in the work, and we don't realize how much we have already accomplished. So take the time, once you have set those goals and you've figured out what you need to do to improve and to further develop yourself, then you need to take time to celebrate, appreciate, pat yourself on the back. And I found that that was one of the things that I did not do. And as you mentioned, I was able to write my first book. I completed my doctorate. I also was able to go out and speak to other women. And believe it or not, I led a divorce care group for other women who had gone through and were facing divorce. And the 3 women that I worked with had men who pretty much did the same thing. And I realized, had I not gone through what I did, I would not have been able to really work with them, to share my story, and to be a witness. So sometimes the things that we go through, whether it be menopause or anything else, we can share that journey with someone else, because you never know with what you go through and how you deal with it, whether or not there's somebody out there that needs to hear your strategies and your stories. And I have a website. So not only am I an educator, but I am an encourager. And I love helping people be better versions of themselves. And sometimes we see people and we think, oh man, they have it going on. Surely they didn't struggle. I'm not that person. I have had struggles. I have had challenges, and I still am. But
Absolutely.
but I'm going on.
And we go through these transitions. The key word is we go
Mhm,
through them. And I love what you said, Dr. Sapp. Those were tips and words of encouragement and words of wisdom to say, look, there is hope. You have to be conscious. You have to be intentional on saying, you know what, I'm not
mhm,
going to stay here. It happened, and now I'm not going to suffer in silence. I'm not going to be quiet and embarrassed about my journey, right? I'm going to share it with other people because I've already gone through it now. Right? I'm not there
mhm,
anymore. I've already gone through it. But rest assured, there's someone out there. So we can encourage you to share your story because there's someone out there who's facing what you faced or very similar, and they're looking for hope. And possibly you may be their voice of hope. You may be the voice that takes them off the cliff and they're like, you know what? My life is worth living. And a lot of
mhm,
times we don't want to identify ourselves as coaches, consultants, all of these different titles. But we all have a story. And if you want to go to church on me, right, we all have a testimony to share
mhm.
with someone. And what is that testimony? It's good news that we're still sitting here, that we still have our voice, that we can still share, and then we can enlighten and encourage someone else to keep moving. You might got to crawl a little bit, right? You might got to take
Mhm.
some tippy toes, and until you're able to run. And that's what this conversation on Menopause March Madness today is, to empower you and encourage you that no matter what your transition may be, whether it's menopause, whether it's divorce, whether it's having children, whether it's becoming an empty nester, whether it's starting a new job, whether you got fired, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whatever the transition is, you can make it. And like Dr. Sapp said, don't look at us like we don't go through anything. Because baby, if I could sit here, we could stay all day and talk about the things that have transpired. I'm talking about not last year. I'm talking about last night. Okay, right? But we have joy, we have peace, and you get the help that you need. But even in the midst of you getting the help, you have to do the work.
Yes.
You want a healthy life, you want to live healthy, you want to live healed, you want to live whole, you're going to have to do the work. And it's not going to happen overnight. This is not a bippity boppity boop. Okay. This is evolving every day to become a better version of who God has created you to be. So, Dr. Sapp, share with everyone how they can connect with you via social media and your website information.
My website is www.sheilaecares, all lowercase.com. I'm on Instagram at sap.sheila. I even tried my hand at TikTok. So that's Sheila Sapp 57. That's at Sheila Sapp 57. I have a YouTube channel, and that's at Sheila Sapp 1555. And I think I already mentioned Instagram. So you can hit me up pretty much any of those sites that I mentioned. And I am still learning with social media. So if there's anything else I can get on, I haven't gotten on it yet, but I'll try.
And I
So
love it. I love it because she is not afraid to step out. And I have been able to witness the growth and the journey, because a lot of times people think, how are you witnessing growth and a journey for someone who's older than you and all of these different things? Because she's a mentor. We mentor each other. We encourage each other. We push each
mhm.
other. She's one of our premier sponsors for Menopause and Mimosa, our community event. She's a premier sponsor for our MenoCon conference. And so she doesn't just talk about it, she walks this thing out. And so if you're looking for encouragement, you're looking for wisdom, you're looking for strategies, you're looking for techniques, whether it's learning or goals, right? And learning how to push forward with resilience, then make sure you connect with Sheila E. Cares. And it's just that, her name, her business, and she encompasses and she's the epitome of caring for people. And Dr. Sapp, honestly, that is what our world is missing today. Caring
Yes.
for people, caring for the community. We have gotten away from community so much, and just having compassion and caring for people that is everywhere, right? Everywhere we look, people,
Mhm.
like, it's just all about me, and I'm gonna do me, and all of the things. But when you care about people and love people, understand those seeds of encouragement, they come back to you. Those seeds of helping that child learn how to read on a higher level comes back to you. That single mom, or that mom or dad who's like, I really don't know how to help my child, those seeds, you all, are the seeds that stand and people will remember forever. They might not remember your title, and they might not remember the name of your business, but how you treated them and how you made them feel, they will remember forever. And so, Dr. Sapp, I say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being a premier sponsor. Thank you for your words of encouragement. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for believing even in what I do, because y'all, she has seen the journey, okay?
Yes, I have.
Okay, she has seen my
From the
entire,
very beginning.
absolutely. Okay, she has seen it evolve, and all of the things, from the ground to changing to pivoting to all of the things. And so her support is unwavering, and it is genuine, and she's very authentic. And so thank you for sharing your journey. And sometimes people, when we talk about infidelity, it's a very vulnerable point for people to share, but we're excited about what you're doing. I know she's working on another book project. She wrote one book, but she didn't tell you all that she has many books. Right? She doesn't just have one resource, right? And so whether you're a church, or organization, a school, a parent, a teacher, wherever you may fall, I can guarantee that one of her resources is sure to help you and your children and your leadership team reach the desired results that you're looking for. And so make sure you all connect with her. And Dr. Sapp, thank you once again for your time. Your heart, just you literally caring about this topic and sharing your story to bless someone else. So thank you.
And thank you. It's been an honor, really, to be able to be a part of this conversation. And I just know that, as you said, there are many women out there that really need to hear this message and to share their stories. And I see big things for Mrs. Carlika Basnight-Menendez and all of that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And so, you all, until the next time, this has been an episode of Menopause March Madness. I'm your host, like she said, Carlika Katrina Basnight-Menendez. Yes, all of that. And we will talk to you all later. Make sure you all connect, and make sure you remember that you can pause, but you cannot quit.